Have you ever wondered if your bank is actually investing in your neighborhood? Like for real? Well, it turns out there's this massive, kind of hidden database that holds the answer. Today, we're going to crack that open and look at the story of the Community Reinvestment Act, a law that's basically designed to make sure your bank serves you and your community.
So it really all boils down to this one question. What is a bank's real job? Is it just about making money for shareholders? Or does it owe something more to the places where it sets up shop? Well, the law we're looking at today says yes, it absolutely does. It says a bank's job is to serve its entire community. And when banks don't do that job, the results are, well, they're stark. You can literally see it on a map. Some neighborhoods are just flush with capital, easy to get loans for homes, for small businesses. But then you can cross a single street, and suddenly you're in what's called a credit desert, a place where opportunity just can't seem to take root. And that's the problem at the very heart of this whole story.
Now, this is not a new problem, not at all. And to really get how we're trying to fix it today, we have to go back in time. We have to confront the ghost of redlining, that really ugly history of banks literally drawing red lines on a map to keep whole communities from getting loans, just based on who lived there.
For decades, redlining was just the way things were done, and it carved these deep, lasting scars of inequality. Then, in 1977, a big change happened. This landmark law, the Community Reinvestment Act, or CRA, was passed to fight back against it. And today, well, that law has transformed into this high-tech watchdog, using powerful data and digital mapping to hold banks' feet to the fire.
And what's so fascinating here is the total flip in mindset. The old redlining maps were all about exclusion, about drawing lines to keep people out. This new system, the CRA, is built on inclusion. It's not asking, where do you live? It's asking the banks, hey, what are you doing to serve everyone who lives here? It's a complete 180. So how does this actually work? Let's pop the hood. It really helps to think of the CRA as this giant accountability engine, one that's constantly running, constantly crunching data to make sure banks are doing what they're supposed to.
Okay, so what kind of fuel does this engine run on? Well, it's a ton of different data. You've got the obvious stuff, right? Like mortgage and small business lending patterns. But it goes so much deeper. It looks at where the bank branches and ATMs are located. How much are they investing in community development? And it's not just about the cold, hard cash. It also tracks things like financial education programs and outreach, especially to make sure they're reaching folks in low and moderate income areas.
So how does all that raw data turn into something meaningful? It's basically a three-step journey. First, every single data point, every loan, every branch gets geocoded. It gets a pin on a map, it's digital evidence. Second, a bank isn't just graded in a vacuum. Its performance is benchmarked against its peers in the same area. And finally, regulators step back and analyze the whole picture, looking for patterns, for gaps, and for the real-world impact.
So after all that number crunching, all that mapping and analysis, it all gets distilled down to one single thing, a grade. A public report card that tells the entire world how well a bank is actually serving its community. And there are only 4 possible grades a bank can get. You've got outstanding at the top, then satisfactory, then needs to improve, and all the way at the bottom, the one nobody wants, is substantial noncompliance. And because these grades are public, they carry a ton of weight. And see, these ratings aren't just for show. They have real teeth. Getting a good grade, an outstanding or satisfactory, is like a green light for a bank to grow, to merge, to open new branches. But a bad grade? That can stop an expansion plan dead in its tracks. It's a really simple but powerful way to make sure that serving the community is actually good for business. But it's so important to remember what's really at stake here. It's easy to get lost in the data and the regulations, but this isn't just about numbers. Because behind every single data point in that database is a person, a family, a dream. Every single loan tells a story. And that really gets to the core principle of this entire system, reinvestment. It's this idea of making absolutely sure that banks are actively meeting the credit needs of all the communities they're in, especially the ones that have been overlooked or excluded in the past. And this quote just nails it. Reinvestment isn't charity, it's accountability. It's about making sure banks hold up their end of the bargain, the one they made when they got their charter to operate in the first place. So, in the end, that simple grade, that rating, is so much more than just a letter on a report. It's a story, written in data, about every single loan, every location, and every life a bank touches with its decisions. So, I'll leave you with this thought.
If every loan tells a story, what story is being written in your neighborhood? And is your bank one of the authors?